Hey guys, so there's been some talk lately that Dragon Ball Legends has been giving out less and less Chrono Crystals. At least that's the discourse I've been seeing on social media recently. Now, when it comes to social media, I guess we can kind of apply the iceberg rule in this instance, where, what do they say about icebergs? It's like 90% of the iceberg is underwater, and you can only really see 10% of it above the water. So let's just say, as an analogy, that the game is an iceberg. And I would even say it's probably less than 10% of talk that we see about the game and general sentiment of players on social media probably accounts for, I would say, even less than 5% of the overall sentiment of the total amount of players playing the game. So when we're looking at what people are saying on social media, I think it's not complete. You can't just completely disregard it because, I think a large chunk of players actually do feel the way that they're expressing on social media, but it really, I don't think, is largely representative of how the general player base feels of the game. So that's what I'll just say first before we get into this. But there, I think, generally has been a very big demonstration of discontent regarding the game recently. And one of the items that people typically bring up, at least more recently, has been that they've been reducing the amount of CC they've been giving out. And, we just had the update this week where, supposedly they're reducing the amount of CC available in the raid event. And incoming supporters might make it even more difficult for free-to-play players to keep up. That I'm not going to go super in-depth on today. I think the supporter thing, I don't really want to talk too much about it because we just don't know enough. We don't know enough about it to really make a well-informed point about it yet. So I will reserve judgment about supporters until we actually have them in-game and we can get a full grasp as to what the supporter mechanic actually ends up looking like, how much CC investment it takes to actually level supporters up. Does leveling supporters up actually give you a huge advantage? How much do the levels give you? What do the Z abilities look like? There's too many question marks right now regarding the supporter function for me to kind of be, again, pre-mad about the function. So, again, it's possible it's just straight up bad for the game. It's possible, right? And I'm open to that idea. And if it is, I will voice my concern about that once they're actually implemented. But as of right now, I don't want to really talk too much about it. So we'll get to that once they're actually in the game, which I think should be next week, but we'll see. But the general idea that they have been reducing Chrono Crystals pretty much gradually for a while now, I wanted to take a more in-depth look at that idea and really just inspect and put on my detective hat and see if that really was the case or not. So for what we're going to be talking about today, I am going to be relying on the accuracy of some of the Dragon Ball Legends community Chrono Crystal counting people, I guess. We have some guys over on the Reddit that have done some CC records for the past, for a long time. But what ended up happening is we have CC records, at least I just pulled this up because it was, more recent references that we could take a look at here, from February 2024 until September 2024. Now, obviously, we don't have the CC count for September of 2025, but I'm just pulling up the September one for reference. We're basically just going to be using February of 2024 through August of 2024, and we're going to be comparing that to February of 2025 through August of 2025, and that will be our data set that we're going to take a look at to see if they really are reducing the amount of Chrono Crystals available to us. Unfortunately, what's happened here, and this, you can kind of, be a little bit critical of the results by, I guess this is the only thing you look at here, but the person or the team of people who were keeping track of the CC records kind of stopped keeping track of the CC records. I believe it was October of 2024. So starting in February of 2025, we actually had a different group of people who have been keeping track of the total amount of CC available. So I guess it's possible that the method of tracking the CC has changed between 2024 and 2025, but this is the only semi-accurate to accurate data set I believe that we have access to. So again, my analysis is going to rely on this data being accurate. I would assume it's fairly accurate. By the way, this is done by, I believe, the Italian community actually did this. So shout out to the Italian community for keeping up with the CC counts every month. So again, we have February, March, April, May, June, July, and August here of 2025, and we're just going to compare those numbers to 2024. Now, unfortunately, I can't read or understand Italian, but, you can kind of look at this and understand what this is saying. So if we take a look at each of these, before we jump into the actual analysis, I will just kind of quickly explain what the important numbers on these slides look like. So the total number here, obviously, is the total amount of CC that you receive every month if you do everything available to you. Then we have this other number over here, which is the total above 20,000 CC. This number here, so we have 17,490, which is the absolute total amount of free CC you can obtain in the month. And then this 14,490 number is the total amount of CC, free-to-play CC you could obtain in the month if you already went into the month with 20,000 CC. So in other words, this is taking into consideration the fact that you would not be able to exchange from the exchange shops because you're already at the CC cap. So we have a CC cap total, and then we have just an all-purpose total here. So that's what I've taken a look at here, and I put on my intern hat here, and what I've done is I've actually put this data into the Numbers app. On my mobile setup, I'm using a Mac. So I have the Numbers app on my Mac, and all I've done is, if we switch over to the Numbers tab here, I have actually plotted out and charted the total amount of CC that we've gotten in 2024 based on the months that I just showed you, and the CC that we've received in the same corresponding months in 2025. So let's scroll down here to the actual data. It's a little bit zoomed in on OBS, I apologize. So here we can see we have in teal, I did the 2024 CC totals, and then in green, I have the 2025 CC totals. And then I have another column called net change, and that just shows you how much more or less CC we received in the corresponding 2025 months. So for example, in February 2025, we received 1,772 less Chrono Crystals than in February 2024. But then in March 2025, we received 1,647 more Chrono Crystals than in March 2024. So that is kind of what I wanted to show with this. And then if we just scroll up, the easiest way to kind of illustrate the amount of CC that we've gotten is by plotting it out and just charting it out on the top here. So I have a very simple bar chart here. And we can see 2024, February, through August 2024 over here, and then we have the same months over here. So the split really is right here. We have the same months on the left and right side of this kind of invisible line going through the middle of the chart. And what I've done is I've put basically a line of best fit here. Now this is the easiest way to understand what this means. The line of best fit is basically taking it's a trend line. So it basically puts the line through the chart in the slope that best captures the trend of the chart. So if the chart is trending upwards, the line is going to be trending upwards. If the chart is trending downwards, the line is going to be trending downwards. So TLDR, because this line is going up, we can actually infer from this that CC is not being decreased, it actually is being increased. So we have actually received more Chrono Crystals in 2025 than we have in 2024, and I've just written this down here so it's easier for you to understand as well. From the months that we've captured here, total CC in 2024, we have 145,427, and then we have the total amount of CC in 2025 with the same months is 153,461. So we've actually received 8,034 more Chrono Crystals over the course of the same amount of months in 2025 as 2024. So if your argument is they are reducing, just straight up, if your argument is that they are reducing the amount of Chrono Crystals available to players, the answer is no. And this is why. So I've just shown that. Now I have a different page here. Now this is where we can kind of get into a discussion of, there's some stingy stuff going on. We're taking a look here. This is taking into account the, you can disregard this number, taking into account the total amount of CC given out with the 20,000 CC Chrono Crystal cap. So this is something, and I've been advocating this for pretty much 5+ years. I've been advocating for them to increase the CC cap. If you guys are not familiar with how this works, the current Chrono Crystal cap in the game is 200,000 CC in terms of purchasing CC. That's why you see me going into these banners with 200,000 CCs, because the purchase cap is 200,000 Chrono Crystals. However, if you are at or over 20,000 Chrono Crystals, you cannot exchange for more Chrono Crystals from the exchange shop. So, for example, we have a raid available right now. I believe it's against Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think. I don't actually remember who the raid is against. It just came out today. But we have a raid against Super Saiyan 4 Goku or something. Some kind of raid is up right now. You can exchange the raid medals for Chrono Crystals from the raid exchange shop. But if you have, let's just say, 25,000 Chrono Crystals, you actually can't exchange for the Chrono Crystals because you are over the 20,000 Chrono Crystal cap. So that's what this is measuring here. So this, while this is total amount of CC, this is total CC with the Chrono Crystal cap. And you can see here, again, I did the same exact analysis. In fact, all I did was I just copy and pasted the data into the sheet, and I just changed the total amount of CC here. Again, using, if we just go back over here, again, I'm using the totals provided by the teams of players that accumulated the data here. So, for example, in February of 2024, we had 14,490 CC when you take into consideration the 20,000 CC cap. In 2025, we had 12,018. And so if we go back over to the Numbers app, you can see that that is reflected. If I scroll down a little bit here, just going to make sure it's actually shown here. You'll see that's reflected in the data down here as well. So you'll still notice, if we scroll up on here, we still, at the end of the day, did actually end up receiving more Chrono Crystals, even when you factor in the 20,000 CC cap here. But you'll notice that the number is much smaller. We only received, in 2025, 2,554 more Chrono Crystals than we did in 2024 when you consider the CC cap. So what does that tell us? That tells us that they are locking more Chrono Crystals behind exchange shops than they did in 2024. Right? That is undoubtedly the case. I mean, I just proved it right here. I mean, again, assuming the data is correct, assuming that the people who accumulated all the data did it accurately, that is undoubtedly 100% the case here. They are 100% locking more Chrono Crystals behind exchange shops. That is something that I think is a problem, and it's something that I've talked about for years now. They should increase the Chrono Crystal cap. They should, 100%. So I don't have anything to say about this other than they should increase the cap. Okay. But again, I mean, even when you look at this way of measuring things, there's still more Chrono Crystals given out than last year. So no matter what way you look at it, no matter what way you spin it, are they, at the end of the day, reducing the amount of Chrono Crystals given out to players? No, they are not. We can go back to this other chart here, or this other sheet, and we can just take a look at some of the raw numbers here. What I thought was pretty interesting is the biggest change actually came in the anniversary months, right? In June of the anniversary, in June 2025 versus 2024, we actually received 2,600 more CC than the prior year. And then in July, we received almost 3,000 more CC than in the prior year. Now, obviously, we did get another Ultra during the anniversary, but remember, that Ultra that came out during the anniversary is simply just an Ultra that would have come out during like April, but they didn't. So they just moved one of the Ultra releases to the anniversary spot. Okay, so, that is kind of going to conclude my analysis here. There is one other thing I did want to point out here. And this is a valid argument. I'm not really going to, knock somebody for making this argument, because I think this is something that I would imagine people have said. I actually haven't looked into this, but yes, we have received more Chrono Crystals in... Let me just make sure this is actually shown on screen. We've received more Chrono Crystals in 2025 than 2024, but how many more releases, or how fewer releases did we receive in 2025 versus 2024? So I did tally up the releases. In 2024, from January through August, we had received 11 LFs, 3 Ultras, and 2 Mega Rising banners. Okay, that's the count for 2024. We can count them right now. We have Spirit Bomb Goku, Super 17, that's 2. We have Super Vegeta, Super Baby 2, that's 4. We have Nappa Vegeta, and then the Part 1 Anniversary characters, that's 7. And then we have God Goku, Ultimate Gohan, that's 9. Omega Shenron, and then Broly. That's 11. So those are the 11 LFs we had in between January and August of 2024. And then in terms of the Ultra characters, we had Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan release at the end of February. We had Ultra Golden Frieza release at the end of March. And then, of course, we had Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta release for Part 3 of the anniversary in July. And then we had the Mega Rising banners. We had the Saiyan Saga Mega Rising banner featuring the Blue Yamcha and the Yellow Saiyan Saga Goku. And then we had the Mega Rising banner at the end of August featuring Garlic Jr. and Piccolo and Goku. So in total, that adds up to 16 banners. 16 banners featuring new characters for 2024. For 2025, we had a total between January and August of 13 LFs and 4 Ultras. Now, we'll get into that Ultra part in a second, but just to count the LFs here, we're starting with Future Gohan and Trunks, Fusion Zamasu, that's 2, Super Saiyan, Cell Games, Goku, and then the Daima, Goku and Vegeta, that's 5. Demon King Piccolo, Kid Goku, that's 7. We have the Saiyan Saga characters, that's 9. We have the Universe Survival Saga characters, Evolution Blue, Vegeta, and UI Goku, that's 11. Then we have Kefla and Metal Cooler, that is 13 LFs in total. And then for the Ultras, we had Cell, Goku, Frieza, and then we just got the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So that is 4 total Ultras that we've received so far. Keep in mind, they've just not done any Mega Rising banners in 2025, which I think is good, because Mega Rising banners just aren't really valuable. Now, when it comes to the Ultras, by the end of the year, I would be very surprised if we have a different number of Ultras than we had in 2024. So in 2024, what was the total amount of Ultras we got? We had Gohan, Frieza, Gogeta, Turles, Majin Vegeta, and Beast Gohan. That's 6 Ultras. I think by the end of 2025, we also will have 6 Ultras. So I don't actually think, because as of right now, we're actually an Ultra ahead of where we were last year. I think more than anything, that's just a timing thing. But if you add up the releases of 2025, we actually have 17 releases, as opposed to 2024. We're at the same point. We had 16. So there's one more release that we had in 2025. There is one other point that I could mention here, and that is that I believe that the overall Legends Limited quality in 2025 is lower than we've had in 2024, right? We have characters like Fusion Zamasu, which I really wasn't a fan of on release. We have, Cell Games Goku, who I think he's actually decent right now, but this guy really wasn't like a showstopper when he came out. Demon King Piccolo was horrible. Kid Goku wasn't good enough. Evolution Blue Vegeta Anniversary Headliner wasn't good enough. Metal Cooler is the worst LF character of all time. So we've had our fair share of just not very good Legends Limited characters. And we did definitely have some of those in 2024, right? We had like Super Vegeta, who, wasn't good at all. God Goku was underwhelming on release, but then he got helped out later. And then Broly, I thought, was not good enough either, but I think when you take a look at the quality of characters we've gotten in 2024 in terms of LF specifically versus Ultras, it's, very, very clear that the LF quality in 2025 is pretty significantly worse than in 2024, unfortunately. But there isn't really a drastic difference in the actual number of releases we've gotten in 2025 versus 2024. It's just one banner. So if we go back over here to the numbers sheet, us getting 8,000 more total CC in 2025 so far. Do I want to say that makes up for the one extra release? I don't know if it totally does, but I mean, I don't think the conclusion I'm going to make here, and we're going to probably end with this, is I don't think the CC is really the problem with the game right now. I get that many people, might not be super enjoying the game right now. It's just like, standard downtime we have with the game. In between big celebrations, I've been saying for a long, long time now that they really need to invest more into the in-between months. So every month in between Anniversary and Fest and Anniversary, I think supporters have a possibility of doing that, of kind of supercharging the game and jolting it back to life. We'll see if that ends up being the case. But again, there's a few concerns with supporters, obviously, that people have, including myself. To me, and if you guys want, I could do a separate video discussing this. To me, the biggest problem with the game, number one, Legends Limited characters are not influential enough. Okay, that's number one. Number two, LF Zenkais are not even close to good enough. Those are the two issues, in my opinion. LF Zenkais not being even close to good enough, and actual like new Legends Limited characters not being good enough. Those are the issues that I'm seeing with the game right now. And to me, those are much more pressing issues than, CC being reduced, because as I just showed, it's simply just not the case. It's not being reduced. So you guys can let me know what you think. But again, I think those are, if I had to point to 2 issues right now that are pressing, in my opinion, with the game, it's the power level of new Legends Limited characters and Legends Limited Zenkais. That is really the huge... And obviously, there's way more problems with the game in general, but those are the 2 biggest problems that I see. Yeah, people on social media just are not not really jiving with the game right now, which I can understand. I mean, again, the way these games are designed is they're not designed to be played 24/7. You're not supposed to be logged in all day, every day, unless you're someone like me who's just, a freak of nature, I guess. If you're not enjoying the game and you genuinely aren't having fun playing the game, then I see no issue with just simply taking a break, stepping back from the game, and doing something else until the game becomes more enjoyable and more fun down the line. I don't think that's an issue, right? I think a lot of this probably just stems back to people just either feeling burnt out with the game. Maybe they're just feeling that it's, not what they want to do. Like, it's fine. You just grow out of it, right? I mean, it's not abnormal to do that. Are there problems with the game that I wish that they would fix? Of course. I do, 100%, right? And I've mentioned many of them throughout this video. But I don't think there's anything that's like, oh my god, the game is, end of... Like, I've seen people talk about this all the time. Oh, end of service is close, dude. The game is over. It's shutting down. Like, I got... If that's what you're rooting for, I got bad news for you. This game ain't going anywhere anytime soon, okay? So we'll see what ends up happening. But the purpose of this video is, kind of to look at, are they actually reducing the total amount of chrono crystals given out? And then, again, based off of the data that I was provided, that I'm relying on for my analysis here, the answer is a resounding no. In fact, it is going up. They are actually giving out more chrono crystals. So let me know what you guys think. If you are genuinely not enjoying the game right now, I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, can't help it. You just don't enjoy the game. What am I going to do? Convince you to enjoy the game if you don't? But if you don't enjoy the game, let me know why you feel that way. And let me know what some of the problems with the game are that you think exist right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.